You're spiritual but overwhelmed? Pick your teacher. Together, let us relaxingly recite. With so many lamas and authors offering to teach us how to meditate, often for a substantial fee, how are we to know upon which teacher or technique we should rely? Should we rely upon the teacher with the greatest beauty, fame, popularity, acclaim, wealth, resume, credentials, or letters of recommendation? No, no, and oh God, no. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, and we test the effectiveness of a teacher's guidance in the laboratory of our body and mind. First, we find a teacher regardless of gender, age, or nationality. All that matters is that they can speak your language or they have a translator. And request instruction. We then enthusiastically practice the technique we are given for at least 5 minutes once every 12 hours or so for 7 consecutive days. Note, if we're not up to the task of practicing thusly, then the selection of a teacher is simply not our biggest problem. After the conclusion of the second practice on the 7th day, we vulnerably gaze within and ask, has this week of practice increased my peace and love? If yes, then mazel tov, you've found a teacher from whom you could benefit. If not, then follow up with that teacher. If they won't or can't help you, then to hell with them. Find a better teacher for you at this time. No, the test of a teacher's wisdom is not whether their teachings align with either our preconceptions or what we've been previously taught. For such a metric will only ensure we will never grow beyond where we are at right now. And for goodness sake, let us not put ourselves in the hands of a greedy fool who would sell the Buddha's teachings. For although truly although truly optional donations could be lovely. My goodness, once again. The greatest offering we could make is simply the enthusiastic application of teachers' instructions. Any teacher who is not impressed with that offering is not worthy. If we wish to follow in the footsteps of the Buddha, be he real or merely archetypical, then we must bring a scientist's curiosity and enthusiasm to be methodical into our spiritual journey. If it sounds inconvenient and maybe even a little scary, there's probably a very good reason for that. But is it worth the inconvenience? The Buddha thought so. This is why Gautama devoted his talents and time to teaching, mindfulness, and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, it's time for us to shift gears. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the, oopsie, wrong button, due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let's hang out with the latest iteration of Diamond Like Mind Mantra Meditation Practice Text, or Sadhana, if you're nasty. One moment. I gotta wet the whistle. We're going to begin by practicing Madhyamaka's yoga of inconceivability, which is also creation stage, or wisely leaping over pride's obstructions to omniscience. We're going to bring the circumstantial into the path of wisdom, thus practicing the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Please chant with me. All circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. We are now going to divide the six-syllable synopsis of that which we just chanted between our inhalations and our exhalations. We now bring the physical into the path of wisdom together. All bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this interpersonal communication or mind. Let us now bring the interpersonal into the path of wisdom, into the easy path of wisdom together. All interpersonal communication or speech could be as impermanent and interdependent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. We now bring the mental into the easy path of wisdom, or I should say wisdom's easy path, together. All minds could be as permanent and interdependent, whoopsie, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Welcome to the first collection of 12 sets of 12 inhalations. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the first, second, or third knuckle of our right index finger palms up in our lap. I guess I could have gone first, second, or third knuckle. That would have been clever. Let's continue. We're now going to perform a very easy way of guiding our energy. Let's chant. May the mastery of the Buddhist teachings of the Eightfold Path come to all crowns. That's just a fancy way of saying every head of every person. I think I might just type that. Insert. Let's hit symbol and E. Okay. And together as a team, let's take it from the tile. We've spent enough time on this. Let's move forward. Good morning, Shivi. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including meditation teachers, specifically the ones who prefer Yang's religious or irreligious patriarchy to Yin's spiritual matriarchy. Those who would rather be rigid than flexible, who would rather be fearful than loving, who would rather be superstitious than rational, controlling than laid back, elitist than egalitarian, cryptic than lucid, competitive than cooperative, cruel than kind. These are the teachers who implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze. Now, the only structures of our central nervous system that support those activities are discrete neural pathways such as those found in the medial or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Sadly, when we overwork our prefrontal cortex, not only are we more vulnerable to presenting the symptoms of depression, but we downright trigger our amygdala, the seat of the anxiety and aggression that are the polar opposites of the peace and the love that really make life worth living. Fortunately, neither the prefrontal cortex nor the amygdala constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. Case in point, every time we inhale, we have evolved to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Every time we exhale, we've evolved to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both the physical relaxation as well as mental release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. Patriarchy deceives us into thinking that we have to master the full lotus position. However, ancient Buddhist statuary depicts the Buddha as sitting not in the full lotus position, but in the quarter lotus position, wherein our lower legs rest comfortably upon each other like the two pieces of bread in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Remember, our knees are only hinge joints. We never force them to act like the ball joints that are our hips. So that might mean the first time we strive to assume this posture that we wind up with something asymmetric and ungainly. That's fine. Give yourself permission to be kind of dopey and spazzy. That's fine. But play with this for at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so. And within a week or two, your body could surprise you. What is the most efficient way with which we could cooperate with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems? Easy. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During each exhalation, again, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb is. Now, people often would prefer a longer exercise, especially during the first 1 or 2 minutes of practice. And for them, I would recommend merely working with the verbs noticing and relaxing, once again, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Having said that, allow me to remind you that the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, not to hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I check for questions approximately once every 15 minutes or so. Pardon me? All class, all the time. The all-good mother's nudity reminds us that the key to practicing mindfulness is to notice vulnerably, as if walking down the street naked, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. The hue of the all-good Father's body reminds us that as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation can feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. The beauty of the all-good couple sporting in tantric union reminds us that the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of our practice of mindfulness as well as meditation. The stability with which the all-good Father seems to sit reminds us of centeredness, and the abandon with which the all-good Mother seems to sport in tantric union reminds us of spontaneity. This centered spontaneity is love's byproduct, again, of mindfulness and meditation. Together as a team, let's practice and do remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I check for questions approximately once every 15 minutes. The easiest way for us to cooperate with our sympathetic as well as parasympathetic nervous systems is for us to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation, as well as silently and mentally reciting the verb relaxing after each exhalation. After a minute or so, you may wish to convert to the one-syllable version of the same exercise. So Shifi asks, when we do our inhale and silently recite noticing, is our brain doing this automatically, or should we be allowing thoughts to arise during the inhalation? Both. So our sympathetic nervous system has evolved to notice things vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. It's evolved to notice all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Every time we exhale, our parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to relax. Then why do we silently and mentally recite these words? So that our will be in alignment with what is already going on. You see, if we have received bad instructions, we are actively focusing and actively analyzing, then we will fight this awareness, and we will fight this release, and we will be performing the equivalent of shooting ourselves in the foot, which 4 out of 5 doctors would not recommend. But through the simple act of silently and mentally reciting this and ease, or noticing and relaxing, we are in a such saying, I'm aware that this process of noticing is going on and I'm not opposing it, I am endorsing it. It's like a presidential candidate at the end of the commercial. I'm blah-de-blah and I approve of this ad. And the same thing here, by silently and mentally reciting ease or relaxing, what we're saying is, I'm aware that this part, that as I breathe out, part of my central nervous system is already going to relax, whether I want it to or not. And instead of fighting it, I'm cooperating with it. So basically, we have a choice. Are we going to live in constant competition, or are we going to live in the harmony of cooperation? That's why we play with these words. I hope that makes sense. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the first, second, or third knuckle. Okay, upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the first, second, or third knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Okay, as we practice Lama Naljor's Anuyoga Bindu Mahamudra Tokal in completion stage, we bring bliss into the path of wisdom and letting go. Together, may the mastery of the Buddha's teachings. Aha, did it again. Insert, here we go, find the letter E. Together. May the mastery of the Buddha's teachings of the Eightfold Path blend with each mind of each being. So, the archetype appears to be holding a Vajra, which reminds us to whose 5 prongs remind us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice perceptions, the 5 perceptions of sight, sound, sensations, flavors, and scents, as well as the 5 objects of emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagining. In the archetype's left hand is held a bell, or a ganta in Sanskrit, that reminds us that as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as resounding yet non-graspable as the resonance of a bell. We turn now to compassion's cool-down. Together. Rather than indulge our controlling tendencies with all follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors for statements literal, and instead relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. Let us chant an explanation of the six-syllable mantra. Om I invoke the Vajra diamond-like strength of a sattva mind well-trained, supplicating with whom may awareness and release be mastered by all. Let us bring the mental into the path of love, thus training in the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all minds of all beings know possess the joyful enlightenment, symbolized by a one-syllable Zero Bija mantra. As we breathe in, silently and mentally, we can recite the six-syllable synopsis of that loving wish, not a prayer, just a wish. As we exhale, we can do two things. We can physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant 4 repetitions of this six-syllable mantra per breath. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Let us bring the interpersonal into the path of love, thus training in the third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Together. May each being's experience of the interpersonal speech now possess the peaceful love symbolized by a multisyllabic horizontal mantra mala. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. May all bodies or forms of all beings know possess great health, symbolized by the enlightened archetypal Yidam Dorje Sampa Vajra Sattva or diamond mind. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum. May all circumstances, all lots of all beings no possess very good fortune or boon. Symbolized by the mythic paradise, pure land Ovati of a real or imagined Buddha. Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum. Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum. Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum. Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum, Om Vajrasattva Hum. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class, as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.